Thank you. Thank you for asking me here tonight. That's a lot of fun to get out here and talk to people. And you've had some great entertainment with our speakers tonight, too, which is wonderful. My name's Linda Levy. I'm a confirmed artaholic, and I've been doing art all my life. And what attracted me to come to this event was the title of the event that they were pushing it. It's non-starving artist event. And obviously I'm not a starving artist, but I'm a great believer in the power of art in our lives. I've always had art in my life, and I know how that impacts you. And in our schools these days, um, we don't have very good role models for artists, especially when you think about the typical connotation of the starving artist. And so having an event that's called Non-Starving Artists, I think I feel honored in standing up here with the rest of the artists to talk about art as life. And as Nada said, life as art. I think it's very important. With that in mind, I've always been doing art in my life. I was fortunate to be raised in an environment that my heritage, my grandfather, great-grandfather, they were painters. San Francisco, my grandfather helped found the San Francisco Art Institute. His wife was a dress designer and milliner for my great-grandmother was a dress designer and milliner for the city of Paris and the White House, which were two big emporiums in San Francisco in the 1800s. On my mom's side, her mother, my grandmother, was an opera singer. She was singing with Enrico Caruso when the '06 quake devastated the city. And she told stories about them entertaining the troops and people that were camped out in Golden Gate Park after the earthquake. Of course, Caruso had left San Francisco as fast as he could get out. But I grew up in an environment where I was surrounded by paintings, I was surrounded by music, just creative energy. And it's something I hold dear to my heart, having been in that kind of environment. So in my excursions through the years, I've really come to value being an advocate for the arts and really for arts education. Our schools have severely limited that. They've cut back all sorts of stuff. I've been working to promote arts education on a number of different levels, and it's important. It's more than important. When we expose our youth to arts experience on a regular basis, they have better attendance in school. That's one thing, and it's hard to keep kids in school these days. They also have higher test scores in reading and math and comprehension. They have a better sense of self, which is, it's good for kids to have a good, healthy self-respect for themselves and feel good about themselves. They also are better problem solvers, and we know we need good problem solving in our upcoming generation. So I urge you all, when you get a chance, to support local arts, particularly in the education, field of education, like Kevin is doing with his art bar. You need to do so. And I recommend Kevin's art bar, even if he won't plug it. It's a great place to meet people. You have good conversation, internet access, all sorts of activities going on all the time. So I've got a cheat sheet here. I was also, when I was very young, I had a benefactor, and I was unbelievably lucky to have this in my life. I was the youngest of 5 kids, and I was at the bottom of the totem pole where everything was hand-me-downs, and mom was too tired to even think about anything that you wanted to do after school or whatever. This person recognized in me, I guess, a creative energy that I had, and he was willing and did so. He paid for me to take art classes, to take music classes and dance classes. Also during that time, our schools offered art as part of their core curricula, art and music. And I learned first playing the piano, which gave me a good base for music. I went on and was playing all sorts of instruments in band and orchestra through about 8th grade. So I've gotten to the point where I feel like I can pick up any kind of musical instrument and express myself with it. And I think that's a great heritage to have. It's always stays with you. I still have a guitar and a keyboard and play around with them. Um, it's great having fundamentals there. So I feel I know firsthand the value of having art in your life and having art experiences when you're young, which is why I've, over the years, been really trying to promote art in our schools. But I also have to confess, my personal sphere is kind of half and half art and half science. When I went to college, I studied psychobiology and chemistry, did a joint major here at UCSC. I also took a lot of art classes when I could. And there's a part of me that wants to understand how things work. I love nature. I liked hearing about our animals, and that the sea otter likes to wrap itself up in kelp so it doesn't float off when it's asleep. And just there's so much that you can learn. But I also took all sorts of stuff apart because I wanted to learn how they worked. And the surprise was when I opened my brother's watch and it sprang to pieces. So you can have some startling bad experiences in taking things apart. But I feel like in some way my left and right brain is balanced. And I'm a believer that I think some of our best innovations have come from people who are both artists and scientists. I think that it's the art experience where you can express yourself without fear and let it sort of take over without really, trying to direct it so much. And combining that with an artist's mind where, I think being the artist and working on a science project, you aren't confined by the boundaries that science lays on you. So I think that those kinds of balances have produced some amazing results just because of art being a part of it. I'm not surprised. In the early 1980s, I really got taken by the computers that came out. I had an Amiga 1000. I was composing music with it. I was doing a lot of artwork on it. Was totally enamored. And I also did a lot of other things on it. I did the other side of it, programming and logic, that kind of thing. So it was letting me balance both sides. I've been using a computer since 1985 to create my own artwork. I currently use a program called Painter. It mimics natural media. And this also coincided with, I had some respiratory issues from using art supplies, in particular soft pastels, oil paints, that kind of stuff. And once you develop some kind of respiratory sensitivity to things, you wind up having to be kind of careful about what you use. Even watercolors, you think they're kind of non-toxic, but they have heavy metals in them. Pastels are heavy metals and silica and talc. You need to not breathe in the dust that you create, and that's how I wound up having problems. Well, now I use a Wacom tablet that's pressure sensitive with a pen. The program Painter was now owned by Corel. It was actually designed and developed by a group here in Aptos called Fractal Design. But it lets you paint, and that's what I do. I paint. And I, whatever comes in, I've been doing the figure, painting the figure and drawing the figure for as long as I can remember. So it's always present. But I have other things that impact me. The last couple of years, ravens have been swirling over my head when I'm outside. And so I've started incorporating them into my artwork. There is some content and meaning behind them. And it's just, you find your inspiration. So for the most part these days, I'll tell you, I worked for many years as a research scientist, so I could support my art habits. It's basically what it was. I've been retired now for a while, and the way that I'm supporting my art habits and my studio at the Tannery Art Center is I teach classes, I sell my work, and I do graphic design. I've done web design. I kind of don't want to do that anymore. Too much work, too much work. But it all helps pay the bills. I'll be doing First Friday, next Friday at the Tannery. My studio is number 125. I'll be showing how I create artwork painting with the computer. And you can get your hands on and try it. It's a lot of fun. And I want to say that I feel very fortunate that we are living in such a supportive environment and creative community. We're all artists, and I think we should all stand up and be great role models for artists here. Thank you.